Right, I just want to make this update as quick as possible. Um, Basically, this is just an update just to say, well, I'm going to make it as quick as possible because I haven't slept. Um, I didn't sleep yesterday. I mean, I didn't sleep last night. That's what I'm saying. So I'm going to make this as quick as possible. Um, Also, yeah. So it's basically the General Medical Council. I rang them today. What a humdinger! Gosh, you only have to look at all these reviews on Trustpilot and you see what's going on. But I can now I understand why the paralegal says she gets emails often in the early hours. Yes, because people are shattered from fighting just to keep a roof over their heads. The Lansdowne Hotel deputy manager escalated complaints to the very managing director who made me street homeless in my nightwear. And on the 6th of March, when I made my report to the General Medical Council about failings, just 1 week later, the GP and the care coordinator who worked for my GP practice was sacked. I mean, I had to repeat everything to the paralegal. I sent all these emails because people don't listen. They don't take it in. I've only just given her information that one of her many colleagues and the reviews on Trustpilot are saying that they never get back to you. She doesn't know that I've been having that ongoing problem with them, but I've only just told her that one of her colleagues, when I first rang them up, was saying, you've been housed, you've got a roof over your head. And this bloody person wasn't even listening, so she didn't even know about that till today. And she said, well, you were at Pevensey Road. So I have to repeat things. That room that I was trafficked to was taken from me, where I was physically forced and coerced into by public servants. So if you watch my last video, anyway, you see where I'm going with this. Anyway, so I'm going to make this as quick as possible. So I phoned the General Medical Council, forwarded the emails. I haven't had an email back, and I was speaking. I mean, several times the phone cut out. Interestingly, Brighton Housing Trust said to me at Belmore Road, "Is this does this happen a lot?" Yes, it does. And this is the new phone I bought after that thug PC Ford broke my phone. So the point that I'm making here is basically that what is the point I'm making? I haven't slept. Still haven't been to see this lovely lady at Matthew 25. Everything is everything is a struggle. I was feeling physically sick. So the whole disassociation, and doing the Victorian thing and hiding all that trauma and pain and bereavement, which I haven't even managed to process yet because of these crimes against humanity. And that reminds me, people from the English Constitution Party, I hope you watch my videos. Even though I set this channel up for my own documentation and my own legal purposes, in the hope that normal people would be watching me, genuine people who are going through, well, the awake ones, the enlightened ones, the children of Yahweh, the B'nai Elohim, the ones who really are, you know, wanting to shine a light on the evil and help others who really genuinely are struggling. Because I really will never meet anyone in my position. It would be too much for 4 people, let alone 1 person. Most people wouldn't fall at the first hurdle. Most people in my position end up in a ditch or on drugs. I've had attempted rape, domestic abuse, I've lost 2 parents, had to deal with it all on my own. And I'm praying for my sisters. Anyway, so my sister is living as a man. She's a woman. She needs my help. I'm praying for her body. In Abba Yahuwah's name. Anyway, there's a lot going on in my head, but I've been having to repeat everything over and over to this paralegal. And what this paralegal has done is she has said to me, without mentioning names, so just to recap, this is the first time she's actually heard me say, and she was quite taken aback, because she's going to leave me in her colleagues' capable hands. But because I'd warned her that this was going to all sort of come to the surface, I explained to her that that this man, one of the call handlers, had said, well, you don't qualify for help because you've got the room at Pevensey Road. I said, that you're not listening. I've been trafficked, physically forced, coerced, against my will into this room. And my flat is the temporary flat, which was only temporary. Brand new self-contained flat, but temporary, was taken from me. And I've been physically forced in here. And this is being taken from me. But you've been housed. And you know, but she was like, because she's already flustered the paralegal, and she's telling me to engage. So that came out. So when people think they've heard it all, they haven't, because there'll always be many, many, many more things that even I forget till the last minute. This is how people get dementia. So anyway, so the long and short of it is basically I'm hiding so much pain. I've got to deal with so much still on my own. But I know that there's something at the end of this. I mean, Abba Yahweh can make the devil. You can use evil for good. You know, you can learn from it. You can learn. If you're a true survivor like me, you'll learn. The trolls and all that, they'll never learn. So I'm speaking to you, and you know who you are if you're watching me. Those of you who want to speak the truth and humble yourselves and show true love and compassion and understanding and not abuse others for your own ends. Yeah. You're is it the silent majority that are fighting? But anyway, so try not to be philosophical and stay on point here. But so as I said, I spoke to the paralegal, and I actually had a text from this fraud who works at Eastbourne Borough Council. I thought he'd been fired because me and my partner saw him working in Sainsbury's a few years ago. And yes, he was working in there. He was stacking shelves or something. And he was like, what's he doing in here? This was a housing officer fraud. So he may or may not know about my channel. I don't know. Chinese whispers. Who knows? But people then said, "Oh no, he does still work at Eastbourne Borough Council." So this, as I said, I won't mention names of anyone or anything like that. But he is the one who, and I had to explain to the paralegal who typed up a fraudulent Section 184, because I complained on behalf of a woman who was on steroids because of bed bugs, a Filipino lady, and she got an SDI. Oh, as you can imagine, all kinds of things goes on in these places, but there's a guy who was leaving his drugs around, and he was kicked out of the Saffron the day I moved in there 7 years ago. This is SDR Living, the rebadged notorious hellhole that they, well, polish a turd that I've just been kicked out of. I've lost my home and everything like that. So what I'm trying to say is, the paralegal said that this, I've got to speak to him, and he actually had the audacity to text me. Now, I said to the paralegal, I said, I do not want to speak to that cretin. And I said, I'm being very polite with my words here. Very polite. I said, because I said, this was when I did forewarned is forearmed. I did warn her that all the anger will come to the surface. Me and Juliet went to the MP office, and the caseworker said what the PCSOs said to me a few years ago. I'd be more angry than you. But I've had to deal with all of this on my own. It's just built up and built up and built up and built up and built up. Whilst all these public servants and people that work for the local authorities have continued to do their crimes. So are they unashamedly carry on? Now, I said to her, and I said, this is why I've sent you all this information. This is why I was telling you all of this. Because they don't understand. They're not going through it. They think they've heard it, but they don't. There's hearing and then there's listening. They're two different things. And I said, this cretin that I want to sue has caused me physical, psychological, mental and financial damages, and I already want to sue him. But you're saying to me, Eastbourne Borough Council has a small housing department and there are only a few people you can deal with. I said, but I cannot. I said, I cannot. You see what I mean? There's hearing and then there's listening. Because they sure as hell wouldn't put up with it. And she said to me, I was saying to her that I said, look, I complained to him on behalf of this Filipino woman who was on steroids because of bed bugs. I've had them crawl on me. You know about that. She knows about it. I would put a rat in some of these places. And I said that I complained to him about utilities. And when I rang him in distress and he knew that I was suffering from anxiety, that I struggled to pick up the phone because my partner told this fraud housing officer this. And he was like, oh, Bryony, I've now got you on the phone. I said, I am ringing you because the kitchen is flooding. I had put a bit of pressure on the kitchen tap and the whole thing came off. And the plumber said to me that this does happen. The washer on the tap has gone. These places are dilapidated. They are. My God. Honestly, there were so many things that happened in there. One time I was talking to one of the licensees, David, and we were like, oh, hello. And there was a leak from the ceiling onto the coffee table, and we just carried on talking. That cretin said, "Don't worry, Bryony, I've got you on the phone. I've found you a property." And do you know what he did? Everything that I complained about, he put in the fraudulent section 184 saying I broke them. And the plumber had already affirmed me. That is how sick these psychopaths and narcissists are. So I by all means, I hope Eastbourne Borough Council are watching this. I know the police are watching. I know the very thugs who forced me into that room, trafficked me, are watching this. Under common law, it is trafficking. Many people I've spoken to know about this. Anyway, so see, I'm going back on a tangent again. But anyway, the point that I'm making is I said to the paralegal that in February 2018, because of this cretin, this creep, he changed the locks, and it had started to snow. It was February 2018, and I went up to Beachy Head with a duvet that I bought from one of the charity shops. One of the homeless, funnily enough, I think it was Shelter, the homeless charity. And I went up to our world famous suicide spot and I said to her, none other than PC Scott Franklin Lester Sr. turned up. And I said to her, and this is when she started to interrupt me, and this is what gets me. This is the same creep who's had over 30 years of experience patrolling this town, and he turned up 3 hours after I reported and have evidence of a criminal on a tag threatening to beat me senseless. Says PC Scott Franklin Lester Sr. It was a little bit too late for you to take evidence of that recording when you came to visit me at the Cavendish Hotel and I was suicidal. Yes, I was. Grow a pair. Because the lady that I need to go down to see at Matthew 25, I'm going to tell her this because she thinks you're a nice chappie. You were the investigating officer for that Carly Bishop who was on a tag, who threatened to beat me senseless at 3 a.m. and I rang 999. And 3 hours later, I'm like, thank goodness you're here. And you arrested me over a welfare check on Beachy Head, our world famous suicide spot. And you've been patrolling this town ever since I was a child, over 30 years ago. Really? Really? And what did I say to you? A few years back, before all of this, I said what my late mother would say. Because I'm telling you now, many people have said, you wouldn't be doing this to me if my mother was alive. My mother would be 85. She wouldn't take any of this shit. She brought me up extremely well. And she was a brave, outspoken person. Because I will be on the streets with a loudhailer. Don't you worry about that. Oh, we've got to watch our backs now. She's going to tell the truth on us. People died for your freedoms. Grow a pair. None of you are men and women. I'm going to join the English Constitution Party. Make no mistake. Anyway, trying not to get too... And what did I say to you, Scott Franklin Lester Sr., who's also got a son in the force? I said, do something about these drunks. Oh, well, they've got to have a roof over their head as well. Yeah, but 3 hours you did nothing about a drunk in A&E. How do we know? Because they told me and my partner, and I had been injured by a security guard trying to protect my partner, Darren. I put my arm up and I said, get away from him. And I was dragged along the ground because this thug grabbed him. And then I was arrested out of the psychiatric unit in hospital pyjamas when they're the ones who put me in there illegally. But PC Harriet thinks he's a knob. PC McCarthy thinks he's a C-word. Yes, Warrior Wales. I am frightened. Yes, I'm glad you were worried about me. I have to fight this fear, fight this socially engineered PTSD. Please, would you look up PC Ford's? He said he had a YouTube account called Legend. He played when they were torturing me in A&E and putting a strap around my legs because they didn't like what I was saying. Please look, see if you can find that Thug's YouTube account for me. Please do, Warrior Wales, if you're watching this, because that PC Ford did that to me 2 days after he dragged me out of my home that the doctor gave me, and I've reported these people to the General Medical Council before they made me homeless, before they took my home from me. You imagine someone's just given you a brand new flat, your GP and the care coordinator. 4 months later, she's sacked. Oh, you can have it as long as you like it. You're very welcome. And then they're dragging you out and they're taking you home. You've just had news that your father died. They beat you on Beachy Head, a world famous suicide spot. Really? Yeah, I know. Oh, don't worry. I'm just so looking forward. There are good things. There are good things coming my way if I keep just fighting this. But yeah. But the paralegal was starting to get a bit funny. Oh, well, you've got to look like you're sort of engaging with them. And I said on the phone, I said, and I'm doing the British stuff up a lip. I'm saying I'm sorry. Oh, and then I'm saying, why am I saying sorry? I said, this is what I said to you. I don't want to do this, people pleaser. I need to instruct you. I've got to be firm. Got to get the balance right here. Because she already knows. I've let her know I'm going to head towards a breakdown. I still don't know how my father died. The staff at that place was meant to be trained 24/7 to deal with complex needs. And I've sent her the recording of the night porter saying he didn't care that Juliet's got cancer, that my father died. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. So yeah, the long and short of it is I've got to speak to that person and, excuse me, a woman, a housing needs specialist. Again, I won't mention names, but I've got recordings on my laptop where this obnoxious call handler terminated my call at the Cavendish Hotel, which I had self-funded for 9 months with back pip just for my safety alone. Now, she said to me, no, you're not going to call her obnoxious. You're not going to say that to her face. I said, no, of course not. I don't even want to speak to these people. I said, look, I understand why you're saying this to me, but we've got to meet in the middle here. She's got to understand, this paralegal, that I am hiding so much anger that most human beings would never in a million years. Anyway. British stiff upper lip. British stiff upper lip. Stoicism. Socially engineered. Oh, yes, the Victorian, polite English lady who's so sweet. My mother said I was like a Jane Austen lady, and that's why they've done this to me, because I'm a nice lady who's been brought up so middle class. Not to be a doormat. Yeah, so I'm in a much better place than they'll ever be. Anyway. So that's that. My phone call to the General Medical Council, to no avail, and that's it. And I'll finish by saying, I won't be. I'm not bothered about trolls and that kind of thing anymore. But it's really amusing because, well, for one thing, I noticed that I haven't had any anonymous calls, even though I said bring it on. And I said, if you want to, if you want to ring me at all hours, please do. But I noticed they haven't. They've stopped doing that. Because I said I haven't had an anonymous call for a long time. Please ring me. I'm going to be changing my number anyway. But I said, please do. But it's funny that how they've stopped now that I'm showing how strong and resilient I am, and that I'm taking legal action. Interesting. And also, the only troll comment that I've had on my old videos, it's not even worth mentioning, but it's amusing. All I'm going to say is that it was someone who said something about, it's amazing, they've got so many troll accounts. I've noticed that they do change their numbers and their names, or they set up, they must, I mean, even Juliet said this, they must have so much time in the world so much time on their hands, so much insecurity that they're setting up loads of troll accounts. I wouldn't even want one. I never even wanted a YouTube channel. I don't like social media. I just like to live and learn. I set this up for my documentation. But the funny thing is that the same troll who said something about ages ago, oh, Bryony, it's not human trafficking. We call it moving people when it's a form of, under common law, coercive, forced, physical force, human trafficking. And I've asked someone else this who's studied common law, and it is human trafficking. And the people I've met and the things I've seen, it is human trafficking. We call it moving people around as if they work for the local authorities, and then a follow-up troll message saying, when I was in Juliet's flat, oh, don't scream and shout in Juliet's flat. This is the same troll. Because she works for the authorities, and that's when she turned funny and she wasn't being honest with me. So, and then another comment from that same troll saying, oh, I hope you're so better. You hope you're much better and all that nonsense. And now I've just seen another comment from that same troll account saying, "Oh, you are a card. As if I'm doing it for their purpose." It's really sad because when I'm done with this, when I'm at the end of this, you're not gonna. I didn't. It's funny because that troll is so insecure. They think I'm serving them. I'm doing this for their entertainment. But when I'm no longer in here, what are you going to be doing? Finding someone else to troll. Because when I'm done, that's it. I'm not coming back on here. I mean, I might, but I'm doing this for my own soul searching and making sense of it all, as well as the main reason initially, which was for legal purposes. I needed to talk on, and I also have crucial evidence that I'd like on my YouTube channel that I'd like to take to the High Court. So yeah, you are a card, whoever you are. So I feel sorry for you, but anyway, I feel a bit better. Just got to keep fighting. And thank you, Warrior Wales, for keep how can I word this? Thank you for giving me the information that you gave me, Warrior Wales, about that nasty lot. But they show these frauds, these grifters, these fake people with their fake whatevers. They very quickly show their own true colours anyway. But all I can say is thank you so much for standing in my corner, and for all those who are being targeted, the genuine people. And you know, speaking up for genuine victims. Um, and keep fight the good fight. I don't know where you find the energy. I really don't. Even if I was a techie person, it's a miracle I can. It's a miracle that I'm still alive, and it's a miracle that I'm doing this because I'm a technophobe. It's an absolute miracle. I'm, I'm a Victorian kind of person. I'm really old fashioned, and mind you, I can't even do things that the Victorians could do. But hey ho, you get what I'm saying. There we go. That's over and out. And um, if you're watching Warrior Wales, yeah, the English Constitution Party. That's very interesting. That is. So I've made some initial contact with them, and they're the only political party in this country who really care and know what's really going on, like what's happened up in Nottingham recently. Um, there's so much that's being covered up, and I said decades ago I said to my late mother, I mean, I'm a young person still, but decades ago I said to my mother, there'll be riots one day. And that's what this guy was talking about from the English Constitution Party, that the Liberals will be hiding away and people will go onto the streets. And I predicted this. And I also said to my mother about 2 decades ago, I said, this country is a tiny island. There's no room for anyone on it. Now look what's happened. So yeah, and GBN News. Yeah, I always felt that these things were controlled opposition. So anyway, I'll say good night, and for those who are genuine, and I know that there are genuine people out there. This is really, I'm going through a very, very confusing, frightening and time, and I've just got to keep praying, because the devil always shows himself in many different forms. He's always in the places of. I've known that my whole life, though. You live and learn, don't you? You're learning all the time. You never stop learning, even when you're an old lady. You're never going to stop learning. Life is. But then there are children who've had experiences that elderly people would never understand because they've never been through it. So elderly people can learn from children. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not always about what you know, it's about what you're seeing, experiencing, and if you've got that ability. I mean, my oldest sisters thought I had psychic powers, and my mother said I was the one to go to about astrology, but even if astrology wasn't witchcraft, you can't go back to these things. It never goes away. So it's like, and my partner would hate me for saying this, but I don't really want to talk about it, but it's another tangent anyway. But sometimes I can always see person when I know their birthday. I see things and I know things about it because I've studied astrology since the age of 11, and it is witchcraft. It is, But witchcraft has a bigger meaning anyway. It's not just witches and warlocks. According to scripture, it's not just that. But anyway, I'm going off on one here, but I've always had that heightened awareness. Whether it's social engineering, MK Ultra, it is what it is. Call a spade a spade. Whatever it is, I'm learning, and I'm in a very interesting place. And it's that very interesting place that is stopping me from ending my life. Yes, indeed. I think ultimately, probably more so than wondering, am I loved and all that, you know? Yeah. Okay, shalom. Bye. Goodbye.